Welcome. Going to do a little practice teaching, run through a little mini class. I'm thinking I'm going to focus on sun salutations and just kind of bringing some stuff in. So yes, I'm in jeans. Point of that is you don't need special clothing to do yoga. You can do yoga in whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you can move, you can do it. So we'll get started at the tops of our mats. Here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Turn around here. In mountain pose, feet hip width apart. Standing up nice and tall, activating your core, kind of bringing that belly button in towards the spine. Drawing the shoulders down and back, palms facing forward. Standing here nice and strong, really rooting through the ground. Nice straight spine. We'll just take a few minutes here, a few seconds here, and just ground ourselves, come into our breathing. Just taking a second to slow our breathing a little bit. When we're ready, we'll inhale our arms up. Exhale, hinging from the hips. Slight bend in the knees as we come into a forward fold. Being careful not to stress that lower back. So make sure you're hinging from the hips. You want to be moving from the hip folds here. Bending your knees as much as you need to. Letting your hands, your fingers gently rest on the mat. Inhaling up, halfway lift, straightening your back. Exhaling back down into your forward fold. Lady here is demonstrating a nice little up dog. We will step our right foot back, coming into a lunge. We can bring that knee down for a low lunge, or we can keep it lifted for a high lunge. That's our choice. As we're ready, we'll step the left foot back, coming into plank. So here in plank, we really want to have our legs nice and strong. We want to pull in through that core. We don't want to be sinking down here. We want a nice straight line. We also don't want to be pushed up. We will go ahead and push back into bringing our hips back and up for downward facing dog. Really pushing through the palms of our hands, pushing those hips up and back like we're trying to get them towards that back wall. Getting a nice stretch through the calves and the hamstrings. As we're ready, we'll step that left foot forward. Coming back into our lunge. Again, we can bring that knee down to the mat, or we can keep it up for a high lunge. Stepping our right foot forward, back into forward fold. Inhaling our arms up. Exhaling back to mountain. Let's do that one more time, this time on the left side. Inhaling our arms up. Exhaling, bend in the knees, hinging from these hips. Forward fold. Inhaling, bringing palms to shins, straightening the back. Half lift. Rub the puppy belly. Forward fold. This time we'll step our left foot back for our lunge. Remembering we can bring that back knee to the mat, or we can keep it lifted, high or low lunge, it's our choice. We'll then step the right foot back, coming into plank. You can bring your knees down for plank, or you can keep them lifted. Again, it's your choice. As we're ready, we'll push our hips back and up, coming into downward facing dog. Stepping that left foot forward, we'll come back into our lunge. Right foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling up. palms together, hands to heart center. All right, so we're starting with a little sun salutation there. Let's bring our feet, toes kind of pointing towards the long side of our mat. Feet not quite parallel with the short sides of our mat, but close. We'll do a good 2.5 to 3 feet distance here. Inhaling up, we're going to do a wide leg standing forward fold. So again, just like with our regular forward fold, we're going to hinge from the hips. Careful for that lower back. Bringing in that belly button, kind of just activating the core here. As we're ready, inhaling our arms up, exhaling as we fold here. You may find you want to shorten or increase the distance. Just finding the spot that works for you. From here, we'll take that left palm right directly under our face, and we can start to slowly twist towards the right, bringing the right hand to the right hip. We can stay right here, or if we like, we can raise that right arm towards the ceiling. Getting a nice twist. Exhaling as we come back down. We'll now replace that left hand with the right hand. Left hand to the left hip, starting to twist and open up. We could keep that left hand on the left hip, or we can raise it up towards the ceiling. Exhaling as we come back down. We're going to take the toes of our left foot and turn that foot so it's facing the front of the mat, bending into this left knee as we come up into Warrior Two. So for Warrior Two, this left foot is going to be facing the top of our mat. The back right foot is going to be almost at a 90-degree angle. So those toes will be pretty much pointing towards the right long side of your mat. Hips facing the long side of your mat. Again, drawing that belly button in, activating the core. Arms straight out at shoulder height, looking out over that left arm. Here for a nice strong Warrior Two. We don't want to be too far forward. We don't want to be leaning back. Shoulders squared over the hips. Inhaling as we bring that left palm forward, turning it up. Then we'll exhale as we come back. Left hand up towards the ceiling, right hand just gently resting on the back of that right thigh. Not collapsing our weight, still using our core to hold us up here. Continuing to have that nice strong bend in the left knee. Exhaling as we put a bend in this left arm. We're going to bring that left arm and just gently let it touch this left thigh, not collapsing our weight, using our core again. Right arm up towards the ceiling or towards the middle of the room, bicep over the ear. From here, we're going to straighten this left leg. We're going to bring this left hip in, letting the right hip come out. Left hand just resting on the leg wherever is comfortable as we come into triangle. In triangle, we would imagine if we were up against a wall, we would be in one straight line. So our back, our hips, our feet, the back of our head, everything would rest gently against the back of that wall. We're not leaning forward, opening through that chest. Inhaling back up. Let's go ahead and bring this left foot back to the toes pointing towards the long side of our mat. We're going to get ready to move back into our forward fold here. So both legs straight, feet fairly parallel with the short sides of your mat, toes pointing towards the long side of your mat. Inhaling, arms up. As you're ready, exhaling, hinging from the hips, coming back down to your wide leg forward fold. So this time, you can stay right here, or if you're feeling a little added challenge, maybe grab opposite elbows and just let your head hang. Hands back to the mat. Inhaling as we come back up. This time we're going to repeat those standing poses here on the other side. So we'll take the right foot this time and point those toes so that they are pointing towards what was the back of my mat. Bending into that right knee. Hips again facing the long side of your mat. Back foot, the left foot this time, is at a 90-degree angle. Right foot is facing forward towards the top of your mat. Bend into that right knee, arms out of shoulder distance, shoulder height for warrior two, looking out over that right hand this time. We're going to move into our reverse warrior. So to do that, we'll bring that right hand forward, facing the palm up, and then exhaling as we bring the right hand up to the ceiling, left hand back to gently rest on that left back thigh. Remembering to stay active through the core. We're not collapsing our weight into that back, that hand and the back leg here. We're going to move into our side angle, so we'll bend that right elbow, bringing ourselves forward, letting that right forearm just gently touch the right thigh, left arm up towards the ceiling or over the ear, bicep over the ear towards the middle of the room. Remember, you're not just collapsing through the core here, you're keeping that core strong, you're not just collapsing your weight into your leg. As we're here in side angle. Now we'll move into triangle pose. So to do that, we're going to bring this right hip in, left hip out a little bit. It's subtle, straightening that right knee. Bringing the right hand down to wherever on the leg it wants to go. There is no goal to reach the ground here, wherever your body feels the right stretch. As we're here in triangle, left arm straight up to the ceiling. Inhaling back up. We're going to step our feet back in for our mountain pose or Tadasana. Just taking a second here to reconnect with our breathing. From here, we're going to inhale our arms up. This time as we exhale, we're going to move into chair pose. So to do that, we want to keep our feet hip distance apart. Some people do like to bring them a little closer together. That's not my personal preference, but you can bring your feet to touching or nearly touching. I like to keep mine hip distance apart. Arms up. Exhaling, we're going to sit our hips back like we're getting ready to sit in a chair. Okay, so here in chair, we want to be careful that our knees are over our ankles. If you look down, you should be able to see your toes just fine. As a matter of fact, you want your weight in the heels of your feet. So you should actually be able to even lift your toes up, curl them up off the ground, because the weight really should be in the heels of your feet. Inhaling back up, palms together, hands to heart center. If you did that right now, well done, and that's a tough pose. So now we're going to move into one of my favorite poses, which is tree. So standing here in our mountain pose, we're going to slowly kind of shift our weight over to the left so that our weight's on our left foot. So before we get ready to move into the pose, we want that weight evenly distributed throughout the entirety of the left foot as much as possible. We don't want to be on our heel, we don't want to be on our toes, we don't want to be on the side of the foot, but just really well grounded with our weight kind of firmly established in that left foot. Bringing the right knee out. The real goal of tree is this right here. It's that hip opening. So if you're right here with your right toes resting next to your left foot, touching the mat, that's fantastic. If you'd like, you can bring that foot up to the inside of your left shin, or if it's in your practice, if it feels good to you, you can bring that right foot up to the inside of your left thigh for tree pose. Hands can be at heart center. They can stay out, palms facing forward beside you, or you can have them lifted. All right, we're going to go right on out of that pose. So now let's repeat that on the right side. We're going to bring our weight and shift our weight into our right foot, remembering we want that weight evenly distributed as much as possible. Opening that left hip. Toes can stay right here on the ground. They can come to the shin. They can come up to the thigh. Whatever works for you, finding your balance, deciding where you'd like your hands. This time I'm going to go with heart center just to switch it up a little bit. All right, coming on out of that pose, back to mountain. From here, we're going to come into a knee balance. So again, bringing your weight over into your left foot. When you're ready, just lifting that right knee up. Keeping that left hand on the right knee, bringing the right hand to your right hip, starting to slowly twist, looking out over your right. Returning to center and going ahead and bringing that knee down.
Good job. We're going to lift that left knee this time. Bring our hands to it. As we're ready, we'll bring that, keep that right hand on the left knee. We'll bring that left hand to our left hip. And we can, if we choose, start to slowly twist, looking out over our left shoulder. Returning to center, we'll bring that foot back down. Inhaling our arms up. Exhale, palms together. Exhaling to heart center. From here, one more time, we'll inhale our arms up. We're going to forward fold. So remember, hinge from the hips, bend in the knees. Exhaling as we do our forward fold here. Let's go ahead and bring our palms to the mat. And let's bring our knees down so we are in tabletop. So in tabletop, knees are directly under your hips. Wrists are directly under your shoulders. We'll start with a few cat-cows, or another one of my favorite poses. Your toes can be curled under, or your tops of your feet can be flat on the mat, whatever feels best for your feet. As you're ready, exhaling, we're going to arch our back, dropping our head and our tailbone for cat. Inhaling, we're going to let our abdomen drop towards the mat. We're going to lift our head and tailbone for cow. Exhaling, drawing that abdomen in, letting the head and tailbone drop for cat. And inhaling, moving into cow. Exhaling, moving into cow. Inhaling, drawing the belly button in, arching the back, dropping the head and tailbone. Exhaling, letting the stomach drop towards the mat, raising the head and tailbone for cow. Coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to do a spinal balance. So here we want to be in a nice neutral spine. We don't want it to be curved out or arched. Nice neutral spine. When we're ready, we'll exhale as we take that right leg straight back behind us, hip distant, hip level. If you like, stay right here. If you want, you can also include your left arm outstretched. Bringing the arm and the leg back down. We're going to repeat that now. So as you're ready, on an exhale, we'll go ahead and bring that left leg straight back behind us, keeping it hip level. So imagining if you had like something sitting on your hips here, you're not going to be tilting or knocking it off. You're going to do your best to keep your hips level. You can bring that right arm up as well if you like. So this time we got the left leg lifted, and you might also have the right arm lifted, your choice. Bringing our hand and our knee back down to tabletop. Let's go ahead and bring our knees pointing towards the sides of our mat, bringing the toes in touching. And as we're ready, we'll sit our hips back, bringing our forehead to the mat for child's pose. Just taking a second here to let ourselves rest, sinking into the pose, reconnecting with our breathing.
From here, let's walk our hands over to the right, getting a stretch in the left side body. Just to wherever feels comfortable for us. Returning to center. When we're ready, we'll walk our hands this time over towards the left, getting a nice stretch to the right side body. Returning to center. Coming up. Let's sit off to one hip. We'll bring our legs out straight in front of us. Sitting up nice and tall. As we're ready, hinging. We may stay right here. If we have tight hamstrings and calves, this may be all the stretch that we care for right now, and that's absolutely fine. But if we do feel like more of a stretch, inhaling, sitting up nice and tall, hinging from the hips, not just curving the back, but hinging from the hips. We'll bring our hands to wherever feels right for us. Remembering there is no goal here. Inhaling back up. Let's bring that left foot in, kind of like when we did tree. We're going to bring that left foot in so the sole of the foot is resting against the right inner thigh. Straightening ourselves up, sitting up nice and tall, looking out over that right foot. When we're ready, we'll hinge forward, stretching out over that right leg. Again, just to a point that feels good for us, listening to our bodies. So staying here, but opening up through our chest. So we're going to open up, bringing our left shoulder kind of up towards the ceiling, raising that left hand. So opening our chest towards the left side of our mat here. Can bring the bicep right over the ear. Sitting up, facing fully forward again. We will bring that right hand to this left knee, left hand behind us. Nice little simple twist here. Sitting up nice and tall, looking over that left shoulder. Inhaling as we come back to center. We will bring that left foot out, and this time bring the right foot in so the sole of the right foot is resting on right by the inner left thigh. Looking out over that left leg. We're going to repeat those poses. So as we're ready, sitting up nice and tall, you may stay right here, or if you'd like, hinging from the hips out over that left leg. As we're ready, we're going to open up this right shoulder towards the ceiling. So now notice how my torso is turning towards this right side of my mat. Bringing that shoulder up like I'm trying to get that shoulder to face the ceiling.
When we're ready, we'll lift that right hand up to the ceiling, or we can bring the bicep over the ear. Depending on your shoulders, whichever one feels better to you. Coming back up, returning to center. We'll bring that left hand to our right knee, right hand behind us, sitting up nice and tall. We'll start to twist, looking out over that right shoulder. Returning to center. We're going to come into butterfly pose, another one of my favorites. In order to do that, about a foot distance away from our body, our heels will be about a foot distance away from our body. We'll bring the soles of our feet to touching. Again, sit up nice and tall. We may stay right here. This is a hip opener. You probably will feel it in your hips, so you may be feeling it already just sitting up nice and tall like this with the soles of the feet touching. If you're good here, stay right here. If you'd like, as you exhale, you can start to fold forward, hinging from the hips. Inhaling up. Let's do a seated wide leg forward fold. So to do that, we're going to bring our feet out, opening our legs just as wide as feels comfortable for us. One of the tricks for this pose is you want to flex your toes so they're pointing towards you. I've really found that definitely helps with the inner thigh stretch. And again, this is a very intense inner thigh stretch, so you might want to stay just right here. Or I invite you, if you choose, to start to slowly walk your hands forward, just finding that place that's comfortable for you, but really grounding your heels into the mat and flexing your feet is helpful. Hinging from the hips, careful for that lower back. Inhaling back up. Let's go ahead and bring those feet back in. We're going to come up onto our knees. So we want our knees directly under our hips. Okay, as we're ready, we could take this left foot out. So we're going to straighten that left leg out beside us. As we're ready, inhaling the right arm up and just gently bending, getting a nice stretch through this right side body, letting the left hand just kind of gently go down that left leg for gate pose. Inhaling back up, we'll bring that left knee back down to the mat. This time we're going to extend that right leg out beside us. Inhaling the left arm up, allowing the right hand to just kind of gently go down the right leg, left hand over, opening up, getting a nice stretch for that left side body. Inhaling up, we're going to go ahead and lower ourselves down onto the mat. So let's go ahead and fully bring ourselves down to the mat. We want our feet fairly close to our bottom, hip distance apart, palms grounded into the mat. As we're ready, on an exhale, we'll start to slowly lift our hips for bridge pose. So in bridge pose, your head, your shoulders, and the soles of your feet, as well as your arms and the palms, will be on the mat, but your back and your bottom will be lifted up towards the ceiling. Lowering back down, slowly with control. Let's bring that right ankle and rest it just below the left knee. So we're going to do kind of a reclined pigeon pose, figure four. You'll also hear it referred to as. So for starters, just resting that right ankle right below the left knee, flexing that right foot so those toes are pointing, would be pointing towards the ceiling if your foot was faced that way. They're pointing towards the wall, I guess. We'll begin just by taking our right hand and gently giving that right knee just a little encouragement to open a little bit further by putting just a slightest little resistance there. From here, let's take our hands and reach and grab behind that left knee and draw that left leg in towards us. Bringing that left foot back to the mat. This time, let's draw both knees in, and we'll gently rock side to side, head moving the opposite direction of your knees. Just getting a little release in that lower back. Feet back down to the mat. We want them hip distance apart. We want them fairly close to our bottoms. Palms back grounded onto the mat beside our body. As we're ready, on an exhale, we'll raise our hips coming back into bridge pose. Lowering back down slowly with control. This time, we're going to bring that left ankle and rest it gently right below the right knee. Flexing that left foot. We can take that left hand and gently put a little bit of resistance there on that left knee, opening it up a little further. Bring your hands and reaching behind that right knee, drawing the right leg in towards us.
Bringing that right foot back down to the mat, the left foot back down to the mat. Let's bring our feet where they're towards the edge of the mat, kind of widening our stance here a little bit. And as we're ready, we're just going to gently let our knees drop towards the left. Arms out straight beside us, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Just however much they want to drop, just allowing them to gently kind of just drop to the left. Head looking over the right hand. Inhaling as we bring the knees back up. This time we'll move our head looking over the left hand and we'll let our knees gently drop towards the right. Inhaling up. Let's go ahead and bring our hands down, palms facing the ground. We'll extend our legs, coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Just letting our body really melt into the mat here. If you find it all having your legs straighten stresses your lower back, please feel free to keep that bend in your knees, and you can just kind of let them fall inwards. Again, or you can have your legs extended for Shavasana, letting everything just relax. Your feet will kind of turn out. Closing your eyes and just focusing in on your breathing, just letting yourself lay here, relax into the mat, let go of any tension, and just be present with your breath. As you're ready, go ahead and bring your feet back to the mat, the soles of the feet back to the mat. Kind of curl up and roll off to one side, letting your head rest on your arm. We'll start to slowly bring ourselves back up to an easy seat, just sitting however is comfortable for you. Inhaling, arms up, palms together, hands to heart center. Inhaling, arms up, palms together. Exhaling, hands to heart center. One more time, we'll inhale our arms up, bringing our palms together, exhaling, hands to heart center. Thank you for joining me today. I am learning, this is all new for me as far as teaching and cueing, so please let me know what feedback you have for me, and thank you if you did check this video out for taking the time to do that and helping me learn. Thank you.